Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. On the broadcast today, Jim Hartman joins us. He's an attorney from Genoa, Nevada, who wrote a fascinating editorial about Blockchains LLC and the innovation zones. It's coming up next on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
Get in on the action at the Tamarack Casino in March. Win your share of the $75,000 Mad Money giveaways now through March 31st. Plus 5 times points every Friday.
Retail's impact on Nevada's economy? Enormous. 8,600 businesses, large and small, employing 145,000 workers. And last fiscal year, retail paid tax on nearly $60 billion in sales. We're the Retail Association of Nevada. We support retail, we help it grow, and we mean business.
RANNV.org.
Take a look at Pro Group Management and see how your workers' comp requirements can be met head-on. By taking a proactive approach, Pro Group can assure that your company is meeting or exceeding state and federal standards. As you move forward in your industry, Pro Group moves with you, simplifying regulatory tasks, clearing the way so you can get the job done and look to your future success. Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
Get in on the action at the Tamarack Casino in March. Win your share of the $75,000 Mad Money giveaways now through March 31st. Plus 5 times points every Friday.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we are pleased to welcome to the program for the first time Jim Hartman. He's an attorney from Genoa, Nevada, one of the most beautiful places in our country, let alone in the state of Nevada. Welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you, Sam.
You wrote a column that has now gone through many publications, including Northern Nevada Business Weekly and the Carson Papers. And the headline on it was, "Follow the Money with Blockchains LLC Proposed Innovation Zones." So before we get to that, tell people who you are. What is your reason for writing this column, for being involved in this topic?
Well, an interested citizen of the state of Nevada, and I was intrigued by blockchains and what it means, and cryptocurrency, which I didn't know much about, but I'm always a little suspicious of the political class. And definitely with respect to this whole innovation zones, the governor's fingerprints are all over it, and he's been a prolific fundraiser in the past. His campaign for governor in 2018 raised $11.3 million. It was a record. 723,000 of those dollars came from the marijuana industry. He's proven to be very pliant to the marijuana industry, and so I was intrigued by whether the cryptocurrency people would get their hooks into the governor and as he runs for re-election here.
All right, so let's point out, to be fair, that money is the mother's milk of politics.
That's Jess Unruh's famous quote, and you're absolutely right.
And that everybody, if they want to succeed in politics, unless they are just so unbelievably well known and have no opponents, they have to raise money, and they have to buy television advertising, consultants, and all the rest of it, and it takes money to do that. Kenny Gwynn, who was a very popular governor in the state, raised $3 million on his first run for governor prior to the election itself. By the time he'd announced, just to scare off other people from competing with him. So this is nothing new. So even though these are vast sums of money, I don't want to indict anybody by saying that raising money alone is anything that isn't totally legal and part of the normal process.
Absolutely true. But I also think it's important to see who the funders are of people's campaigns. And that was my interest in Governor Sisolak.
Okay, so then may I throw in one other thing here, and I will get to the meat of the matter, but I just want to throw all this stuff on the table so people know that we're being fair in the way we talk about this. In your article, you mentioned that only Democrats were receiving money from this in the Democratic State Party, as well as Governor Sisolak, but also Jim Wheeler, who's an assemblyman and a leader in the Assembly Caucus, also got substantial donations from blockchains as well. So it's not just a Democratic thing. Money is being spread around, which is, again, not untypical, because it happens with gaming, it happens with mining, it happens with all leading industries in pretty much every state in the country.
Correct.
Okay.
My other
the floor
point,
is yours.
Okay, my other point was, I did point out that Assemblyman Wheeler, a Republican, had received 2 generous $10,000 contributions for his campaign in
and one for him and one for his wife, because that's
correct.
Law, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so all right, so we've got all that on the table. So your thoughts on the governor's proposal for innovation zones, of which at this point in time, Blockchains is the only company that is looking to take advantage of this?
Well, everybody is going to be interested in economic development, and I suspect that Governor Sisolak, when he runs for re-election, is going to be pressing the issue of diversifying the economy in the state of Nevada. That's been a popular, the new Nevada was the declaration of Governor Sandoval, so that's not unusual. But I was curious as to cryptocurrency and what that's all about, and whether you want to bet on cryptocurrency as a way of advancing the economy of the state of Nevada. And I looked at Warren Buffett, for example, has been very outspoken on the subject of cryptocurrency, and his associate, Mr. Munger, they have declared it to be rat poison squared, I think was his description of cryptocurrency. So when we start talking about going forward in Nevada with a cryptocurrency advance, I think we ought to have our eyes wide open. This is not electric cars, this isn't Switch, this isn't Apple, this is quite different. And that had me troubled. As I've looked further at this subject, I have noted that Puerto Rico, the country of Puerto Rico, has had dozens and dozens of cryptocurrency people come to Puerto Rico to try to set up a similar program to what is being thought to happen here in Nevada. Puerto Rico has no federal income tax, it has no capital gains tax, so there's nothing particularly new about cryptocurrency people trying to come in and corner, if you will, a government, and it's happened in Puerto Rico and now is being proposed for Nevada.
All right, so, and we're trying to be balanced here in our discussion. So let me point out that, you know, Warren Buffett has always said in the past that he wants to invest in things he understands. And so if he doesn't understand something, so he missed out on a lot of the tech boom because he really didn't understand it. Now, let's face it, he's made a lot of money in a lot of different areas, including with NB Energy here in Nevada through Berkshire Hathaway. But just because he doesn't understand it doesn't mean to say it's a bad thing. And Senator Kefauver, a Republican senator, has been very prominent in furthering the idea of Nevada being a center for cryptocurrency and blockchain, more blockchain technology, which for those that don't understand it, which includes me really, I describe it as a sophisticated form of accounting, because I think that's the simplest way to understand something that's very complex. We have cell phones, we don't understand how they work, but we know how to use them. So I don't think you have to understand necessarily how everything works. So a sophisticated form of accounting is the way I would describe it. But what's going on here is, to me at least, and please jump in when you're ready, the idea is that this innovation zone is going to include a smart city, a city based on blockchain technology, on the Ethereum blockchain technology, and that this will be the economic diversification, or portion of it for Nevada, taking 50,000 plus acres of contiguous land that is undeveloped and unrepresented at this point, and then turning it into its own county, really, and with its own forms of government. And so, you know, what are your thoughts on that part of the idea that Story County, in this instance, could lose 67,000 acres of its land?
Right. I actually think the heart of this is it's a bridge too far to set up a county government, essentially, within a county. And I note that Story County is resisting its Board of Commissioners. Its water board is concerned about water issues there. I think it's disturbing where you've got the potential of a very wealthy individual spending, I think he's claimed to have spent $300 million already on this, with land acquisition, with water from up in northern Washoe County. He's paid $30 million apparently for water. I think that's troubling. And the other point here is, what's the track record? The promise of blockchains when they came here was that they would have 1,000 employees by the start of 2021. In mid-year 2020, they had 90, I think, employees, and then had severed, had a reduction in force of 10%, lost 9 people. They are 67 employees right now. They promised 1,000 employees. And I think this is a huge bet on an unproven individual here. And I'm troubled by how much money is being thrown around, not only in politics, but even with the Nevada Independent, which I'm strong believer in the press and believe we have a good press in the Nevada Independent, but they have contributed $410,000 to the Nevada Independent, which I think puts them at some risk of their independence, if you will, as they assess this Burns proposal for Nevada.
All right, so let me also put a little balance in here. John L. Smith wrote a column that was not favorable in the Nevada Independent to this whole theory. And so I think that the Nevada Independent did an excellent job despite the funding. And I mean, they're a nonprofit. They raise money from all kinds of organizations. MGM has donated almost $1 million to them. NV Energy, a couple of $100,000, because people want to have an alternative to the Las Vegas Review-Journal, and they are willing to put up this kind of money to do that. But I think that in this particular instance, as in other instances, the newspaper has put up other opinions that are not necessarily positive towards this, so it's not pay for play. They have definitely put in articles that point out the problems, and John L. Smith even suggested humorously that it would have been easier just to bribe the Story County Commission instead of trying to create your own county commission. So I do want to put that out there.
No, and the point I was making wasn't that I think the Nevada Independent has gone into the tank for all of this. I'm simply pointing out that the effort here by Mr. Burns is he's spreading money around to lobby groups, R&R lobbyists, to the press, to all the political players in the state. I think that's troubling. I also think Nevada is being held up in ridiculed by, I think Stephen Colbert the other night had a very humorous 4-minute riff on exactly how silly, frankly, he thought this proposal was for Nevada. And I think we're the butt of jokes across the country that we're selling out our county government to a private interest here. I think he was describing it as he didn't want to be part of Google town. And that's the trouble, I think, here. I think this is a reach that's gone too far in Nevada and needs to be resisted.
Okay, to point out, I did text Pete Ernott, who is the representative from R&R Partners, to talk about coming on the program. I have not had a response yet, but I'm hoping that he will get back to me. He's been on the program many times, and that we can get the other perspective of this. But let's take a break. We'll come back much more with Jim Hartman, the attorney from Genoa, Nevada, right after this timeout.
What do you count on? You count on your power every day. At NV Energy, we've always powered what's important to you, but we're not looking at the past. We're focused on the future. While our standards are high, our rates will remain low. And our commitment to renewables isn't just meeting standards, but leading the way. Because you can count on more than just your power. You can count on the company who brings it to you. That's our promise. You can count on it.
Hey, Dad? Are you learning? This place is great.
Huh?
You gotta try this.
Wow, this stuff is great. People are gonna love it.
Yes. Yes, they will.
The signs and symptoms of cataracts can start out small with subtle changes in your vision. So don't wait. Be proactive and take your vision into your own hands. If you're experiencing the onset of cataracts or just have questions, contact your eye care professional or call Eye Care Associates of Nevada today. Dr. Hiss has years of experience specializing in the surgical correction of eye disorders and has completed over 84,000 vision correcting procedures. At Eye Care Associates of Nevada, we'll change the way you look at the world.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Jim Hartman. He's the attorney from Genoa, Nevada, who wrote a fascinating editorial called Follow the Money with Blockchains LLC's proposed innovation zones. So one of the things, I've been having discussions with other lobbyists, both on the program and off the air. And one of the things that was discussed was, at this point in time, all Jeffrey Burns has built in Nevada is his own corporate headquarters at TRI, which is not part of the 67,000 acres he purchased from Roger Norman to get that 67,000 acres. And a lot of people are saying, could he just build one building that is, you know, the future is a smart building, so that people would at least have an example. Schluter, who is a company out at TRI, has an incredible building that has the most incredible technologies to take advantage of the heat and the cold that comes from Nevada to warm and cool their building. Is that something that concerns you, that at this point Mr. Burns has not built anything in Nevada beyond his own corporate headquarters?
Well, I think it's very concerning. And the other point about the commitment here to Nevada, I noticed that, or noted that his brother was the president of Blockchains LLC. He's resigned in the middle of last year. There's a real question, I think, of where this is headed, whether this is a bet that Nevada wants to make. It appears as though Blockchains LLC is the only qualifier so far for this innovation zone. I mean, it's difficult to see immediately who else would step up and be qualified to participate in this. And the real question is the commitment, the ability to go forward here. I think Mr. Burns gave an interview to the New York Times some time ago where he said, I'm either going to have the most spectacular success or we're going to go down in flames.
Can I give you the quote? And this actually came from CelebrityNetWorth.com, but it's the same quote. This will either be the biggest thing ever or the most spectacular crash and burn in the history of mankind. I don't know which one. I believe it's the former, but either way, it's going to be one hell of a ride.
Well, I think that's a fair comment, but we're being asked to bet on this, and I'm suggesting at this point the track record is pretty modest in terms of 67 employees, no buildings, a brother who's left the organization, and a lot of money being spread around here to the political class, the press, lobbyists and all the rest. I just hope we don't go down too far down the road here on something that has no future for Nevada.
Kyle Roerink is on a program, and he's a water expert in the state, an environmentalist, and the discussion there was the incredible difficulty of moving water from Gerlach to Story County. First of all, you have to deal with the tribes that own land, then the federal government. If you go back 30 years to Fish Springs Ranch and Franklin Jeans, Harry Reid put an EIS on moving that project, water, to the North Valleys of Reno, and that shut that thing down. And we don't have a Harry Reid in Congress at this point with his power to either get things to happen or not to happen. So, I mean, that's an open question as well.
Right, it's a 100-mile water pipeline transit that would need to be made here, and through land where there have been issues in the past. There's also sewage issues that I think are of question, but I just think to proceed with innovation zones, as you read the proposed legislation at this point, is truly a bridge too far and will hold Nevada up, I think, nationally as sort of being mocked for doing this.
All right, let's take another break and we'll be right back with Jim Hartman after this timeout.
Dimitri Prine here for Design Outdoor. At Design Outdoor, we specialize in all hardscapes, pavers, and walls you'll need for everything, from wonderful small yards to full-blown outdoor living. And we only refer the best contractors to make your vision a reality. Our store and backyard are located at 11600 South Virginia, just north of DeMonte Ranch Parkway. Visit designoutdoor.com or call us at 851-9499.
I'm men's rights attorney Marilyn York, and because I represent men in all family law matters, women often call me gender traitor, woman hater, and even disgusting. So why represent men and target myself with these offensive monikers? It's simple. Children with fathers in their lives are 6 times less likely to drop out of school, 15 times less likely to go to prison, and 5 times less likely to commit suicide. So ladies, you can hate me, but please love your children more than you hate their fathers.
Hi, I'm Dave Newman. Remember me? I used to be the house detective, and now I'm a realtor, full-time at RE/MAX Realty Affiliates. A lot of people ask me, how's the market? You know what? It's fantastic. If you're even kicking around the idea of buying or selling, give me a call. Let's talk about it. Call me at RE/MAX Realty Affiliates and just ask for the guy who used to be the house detective, Dave Newman.
The signs and symptoms of cataracts can start out small with subtle changes in your vision. So don't wait. Be proactive and take your vision into your own hands. If you're experiencing the onset of cataracts or just have questions, contact your eye care professional or call Eye Care Associates of Nevada today. Dr. Hiss has years of experience specializing in the surgical correction of eye disorders and has completed over 84,000 vision correcting procedures. At Eye Care Associates of Nevada, we'll change the way you look at the world.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Jim Hartman. He's an attorney out of Genoa, Nevada. He wrote an editorial called Follow the Money with Blockchains LLC's Proposed Innovation Zones. One of the things that's popped up in discussions is that you actually could have innovation zones in other places in the state, because it wouldn't be that difficult to put together 50,000 acres, for example, in Elko County or Eureka County. And mining companies are kind of sticking their ears up and listening to what's going on here. You could also do it in Clark County using BLM land. So if this were to work, you wouldn't just see Story County potentially losing a chunk of their county, but other counties. I wonder what would happen if Clark County were to have this happen to them.
Yeah. And the real question is this a good thing carried to other counties? Is it something we want where tech companies are founding their own governments, running their own governments, company towns?
Okay, so let me ask you that. Let me be specific about that because we're running out of time. You know, that's one of the things that has struck me about this is what experience does Blockchains LLC have in running a government, in running, you know, police and fire? You know, justice courts, school districts.
Right.
How do you lay that out? I mean,
None at all, and I think Mr. Burns' background is as a plaintiff's lawyer, a class action lawyer, no history in government, no involvement with government. I just think we need to be cautious about some of the things. The promise of Faraday in southern Nevada, people were signing documents and happy about what was happening there, and that turned into kind of a colossal failure as well.
And Dan Schwartz called that, who was treasurer at the time. He said that wasn't going to happen. Right. He was right.
But I think politically, it's popular always to be advancing the notion of a new Nevada and branching out beyond gaming into new industries. But I think we need to be prudent and careful and cautious and responsible here.
And my thought is, and again, this is my opinion for what it's worth, is nobody has been more amenable to new business than Story County. And so the idea that Story County couldn't handle this when they're handling the largest building on the planet with a Tesla Gigafactory doesn't seem to make sense to me. But as I say, the door is open for anybody that wants to come from blockchains or any of the people that are helping blockchains. This forum is open to them to come and lay out their case. And I thank you for writing the article, and I thank you for a great conversation. Appreciate you being here.
Thanks, Sam.
And we'll be right back. Brian Culpa Photography was born in the rolling hills of Massachusetts, and now he can help you experience the stunning beauty of Nevada in a whole new way through the power of flight. Flying has always been a passion for Brian, and at Brian Culpa Photography, he can make your imagination soar. Brian has the creative mind and tools to tell your unique story. Experience the bird's eye view at brianculpaphotography.com.
Kenny! Dad? What are you learning? This place is great. Huh? You gotta try this.
Wow! This stuff is great! People are gonna love it!
Yes. Yes, they will.
As you know, Reno is booming. Toll's development company is helping it grow with insightful design and development, building community with every project, adding beauty, adding excitement, emphasizing our shared humanity. Reno is becoming bigger. Toll's development is helping it become better, more livable, more enjoyable. To learn more, go to tollsdevelopment.com. tollsdevelopment.com.
Pro Group Management specializes in providing industries with the necessary components to satisfy and exceed workers' comp requirements. Every business has unique needs and specific regulations. Pro Group Management stays ahead of the curve, providing up-to-date services to keep your industry in top form. Discover how we simplify your tasks, improve efficiency, and reduce expense to keep you moving in a positive direction. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
As always, you can watch Nevada Newsmakers on television, radio, audio and video, podcasts, and YouTube. We'll see you on the next broadcast coming to you from Carson City. See you then.